So today we are going to start the fourth unit. The first topic, or we can say the first segment of the fourth unit, is hydraulic machines, and the second segment will be the compressors. So more emphasis would be given to the hydraulic machines because it is having a weightage of around 70% in the entire fourth unit. And the last topic, which is the introduction to the compressor, where you'll be introduced to different kind of hydraulic compressors available, that will have a weightage of 30%. So most of you, right, maybe knowing the basic definition of turbine because you are studying parallelly engineering thermodynamics also, right? And in the fluid mechanics, first time I'm going to introduce about the turbine concept. And basic mechanical engineering already have gone through the hydraulic power plants, right? How actually those power plants are useful for converting the free available energy, that is called hydraulic energy, into the electrical energy. So the basic schematic diagram that you might have gone through in basic mechanical engineering, one of the component of that hydraulic power plant is basically this hydraulic machine. So hydraulic machine can be either compressor or either it can be turbine. So when we talk about the hydraulic machine, so hydraulic machine is something which is capable of converting hydraulic energy into the rotational energy. Usually convert into the rotational energy, which can further be coupled with generator to get the electrical energy. That's why we say that is a hydroelectric power. So the hydroelectric power is basically developed by the hydraulic turbines, right? Usually because turbines are the work producing devices, whereas compressors and pumps, these are the work absorbing devices. You might have gone an idea from engineering thermodynamics. So that's why we say that these hydraulic turbines as hydraulic machines. So the basic purpose here is the turbine usually converts hydraulic energy or hydropotential energy into the mechanical energy. So you will have a reservoir where water is filled up to a certain height. Then you will sending that water right from that height through the system of piping system, right? That we usually say penstock. So penstock is the pipe of some diameter taking the water at a faster rate to be impinging on the prime mover. So then prime mover moves, and the moment it is start moving, you will get the mechanical energy that can be convertible into the electrical energy by coupling with the generator. So this is the basic concept of these turbines. There are various kind of turbines that we are using in hydro power plant, depending on the power capacity of hydro power plant, how much power you want to generate. So starting from low head to high head. So usually the power capacity of plant depends on the head, or you can say the reservoir capacity, up to what volume or to what height water is stored in the reservoir. Based on that, you will select your prime mover to convert that potential energy of water into the mechanical energy. So this is a general scenario in the case of hydropower plant. But in this unit, you will be looking at how all those geometrical features of turbine usually influences over the overall power generation from hydroelectric power plant. So let's start our presentation for today. So today purpose is to introduce you the concept of hydraulic machines. Particularly, our emphasis would be on Pelton, Francis, and Kaplan turbines. These are the three turbines which universally we are using for producing the power from the water, and these are known as hydraulic turbines. And in the case of electrical generation through thermal power plant, we are using different kind of turbines. So there it will be gas turbines, right? Gas turbines are being used for producing the power from thermal power plant. If you are talking about hydraulic power plant, then you will be utilizing any one of these. So based on the power capacity, at what power you are generating output, you will select one of these turbines. You will come to know over the period of time, right, for what head which turbine is suitable on. So this is the unit 4 syllabus, right? I just pasted the copy. So we will be starting from classification of soft turbines, right? Then we'll go to one by one. So the sequence you see first and first turbine will be introduced Pelton wheel. So obviously it will be for low to medium, head hydraulic power plants. Then for larger, power generation, you can go for Kaplan, Francis turbines. So you will be studying construction, working principle, then work done. This is derivation, efficiency, design, and draft to specific speed. These are all performance parameters basically, or performance characteristic curves, and then finally governing of turbines. So because turbine need to be operated on some rated speed, because they cannot generate power on all these speeds. They may be rotating at faster RPM, but it may be able to generate power only on some specified rated speed. So the speed of turbine need to be monitored, and that is called governing of turbines. So here first segment will be over. Second segment will be just introduction about the pumps. So this is not a compressor basically. So we will be introducing the pumps, working principle of centrifugal and reciprocating type of pumps, because we are using pumps only in this kind of hydropower plant to send the water back to the reservoir. In some cases, if you are just simply it is attaching to the river, then there is no need of pump. But usually in a closed capacity, if you are generating power, then you require a pump to send the water back again to the reservoir. So hydraulic machines. So when we are talking about hydraulic machines, as I said that these are the machine which converts hydraulic energy into mechanical energy or vice versa. Opposite is also possible, right? It's called hydraulic machine. This is a general definition of hydraulic machine. And then you can say based on the power output and power input, right, work consuming and work producing. So you can say the hydraulic machines which convert hydraulic energy into mechanical energy is called hydraulic turbines, and opposite of this, right, hydraulic machine that convert mechanical energy into the hydraulic energy is known as hydraulic pump. So then further you can say that you can further define this hydraulic turbine in such a way that hydraulic turbine may also be defined like prime mover, that basically transform which kind of energy to which kind of energy, is converting kinetic energy of the fluid right into the mechanical energy by rotating, right, when it's rotating, start rotating, it converts into the mechanical energy, which can further be reconverted into, which may be utilized to convert into the electrical energy. So hydraulic turbine may also be defined as prime movers that transforms kinetic energy of falling water into mechanical energy of rotation, and whose primary function is to drive a electrical generator. So this is the setup. So this is the basic definitions and differences between the hydraulic turbines and hydraulic pumps. So this is the layout of hydroelectric power plant. Usually you might have seen the same sort of schematic diagram in your basic mechanical engineering. So if you just look at, this is the top, means at height you will have a reservoir which is over here. The reservoir will have a gate. You have to open this gate, then water will come in. So this is the gate, right? Then if you come to this is inclined portion. This is called trace rake. From here, water will basically accelerate. So trace rake. Then this larger one which is attached over here is basically called empty gate. From here it will empty it. So first it will come here. Slight motion will be provided. Then empty gate will come into picture, and here is the ice gate, right, that can also be utilized for moving this one. Then finally intake cone, this is the cone, so this will be working like a nozzle, right, starting fix the nozzle through which water will be entering into the pan stock. So from here, this is the piping system starts, right. So the seventh, this point, right, this is connecting point, is called expansion box, and then expansion takes place, and through it will go like, and here kinetic energy it will attain at faster rate, then coming over here, then enters into the prime mover. So this is the turbine shaft. You look at this is a turbine shaft. This entire setup is called turbine. And finally, once you have utilized the kinetic energy to generate the mechanical energy over here, the rest of the water has to go to the river. So this 11th portion that you are seeing, this is called draft tube. Draft tube is the basically passage to send the water back to the river. So it will go like this. Then finally, it enters into the canal. So there's a canal or river in which it is entering in. So this is the general layout of hydroelectric power plant, and most of the hydroelectric power plant are using same sort of setup. Now, depending on the elevation, right, in the reservoir, you will choose the type of the prime movers to be used. right? And also the piping systems, right? Usually these all pipes are made of steel of different sizes. So the size will vary as per the datum height available in the reservoir. So this is the normal setup, right? So normal setup when length is very small, right? For the span stop, and in a very small area you are generating the power. But some cases, right, this length will be much larger. So in that case, when length is becoming much larger for the pipe, there may be chances that there will be back pressure generation, right, in the hydroelectric power plant that need to be avoided, right? And back pressure will create noise, right, within this piping system. That is, we can say that as a water hammer problem, right? So that need to be avoided. So for that purpose, a surge tank usually be attached, right? This is the surge tank location where we will attach. So what it will do, it will avoid any kind of fluctuations of pressures, right, within this piping system. So the surge tank's purpose is to basically avoid any kind of back pressure or back flow right in the pipe. So this is the surge tank. So some water will be accumulated here. So if it is required, let's suppose if your mass flow rate water is getting reduced in this case, it will supply the water. If it is more, it will get the water in. That is the main purpose of surge tank, right? This will be utilized for the larger, hydroelectric power plants. And then finally, this is the same setup that you are utilizing with finally tail race. So usually you might have seen how many components are there. One reservoir, then piping system. In longer hydraulic power plant, you require a surge tank, right? And then piping system, prime mover, generator, and then tail race. So what are the different functions of this? We will see here. So dam is consists of a dam constructed across the river or channel to store the water, right? And the reservoir is also known as head race. Head race where you are filling the water up to certain height, that is called head. And then pipes of larger diameter called penstocks, which carry water from this dam to the prime mover. And these pipes are usually made of steel or reinforced concrete. Then finally your prime mover starts, that is called turbines. So turbines having different types of vanes and buckets or blades mounted on the wheel called runner. Then finally tail race. So once you have utilized the entire kinetic energy, means portion of kinetic energy to convert into mechanical energy, the rest of the water has to be returned back to the canal or river. So for that, tail race is attached to the turbine outlet. So tail race with channel carrying water away from the turbine after the water has worked out on the turbine. So these are the primary components, right, required for any kind of hydroelectric power plant. What is the necessity of such thing? I already said that if pipe length is much bigger, right, several 1 kilometer or more than that, in that case chances are there may be some continuous mass flow rate may not be traveling throughout the piping length. So in that case back flow is also possible, or fluctuation in the water supply may come, and due to that fluctuation present in the pipe, some explosion kind of sound will be creating within the piping system, which is very dangerous for the structural point of view for the piping system. That is called water hammer problems. To avoid that, we usually use the surge tanks. So the water hammer is characterized by the sudden high pressure rise caused by stopping of the flow too rapidly. The wave propagation speed is around 1200 meter per second. In those plants where distance between the four-way or reservoir or turbine is quite large, a such tank is usually utilized. The function of this tank is to hydraulically isolate the turbine from deviation of head produced by the wave effect in the conduits. So some such tanks include an orifice whose function is to dampen out or absorb the energy of the hydraulic oscillation. So it avoid any kind of fluctuations in the mass flow rate, and due to which fluctuation in the pressures in the larger length of pipe. So when length is much bigger, right, several kilometers, in that case you will be utilizing the surge tank. But for smaller power plants, usually we never use the surge tank. Now, terminology is used in the hydraulic electric power plant, as I am saying that the main purpose of this plant is to utilize the head of water to convert into the electricity. That's why we're saying that is a hydroelectric plant. So the head, when you're talking about head, how much height your water is filled in the reservoir and how much portion of that you are usually able to get at the entry through the turbine. That is basically being influence over the overall power generation from hydroelectric plant. So you might have seen from the power transmission system where total head was in the reservoir which was capital H, and what finally we were getting the lesser than that because of the length of the pipe, that is called major losses. Those major losses usually will be there, we cannot neglect those. So if you subtract the major losses right from the total head, that will be the available head. From there, you will be getting the power output. So gross head and useful head that we need to define. There are different kind of heads available, and over the length of the pipe, different piping fittings are there, right? Some elbow, some sockets. Because of that, also some losses will be influenced, right? So those also need to be considered. So gross head and net head. So when you talk about gross head, this is the vertical difference between the headrest and tailrest. When you talk about headrest is talking about the reservoir and total location, and tailrest talk about the point where your water is entering into the river. So the difference between these two is called gross head. And net head, when you talk about net head, this is called useful head, which is available for converting into the mechanical energy. So this is called net head or effective head. Is the actual head available at the inlet of the turbine. It's called net head and gross head. So from here you can easily identify that gross head value will be higher than the net head, and this net head you will be getting only after reducing the major losses in the piping system. So we can say that H is called H gross head minus HL. All right, this is called head loss, right? So you have to subtract the head loss from the gross head to get the net head available. So his head loss is basically due to major losses. When length is much bigger, I said that minor losses can be neglected. So only one loss will come into the picture, that is called loss due to friction. That need to be considered. So once you subtract that, you will get the net head available from the hydroelectric power plant, and that is you are going to utilize to convert into the mechanical energy and further on the electrical energy. So you just look at the schematic diagram. This I have taken from the fluid mechanics by Senjal and Simbala. So you look at the diagram. This is the reservoir, right? That we say as a four-way, right? And this is the river. After utilization, you are sending, that is called tail race. So the difference between this and this is called basically gross head. So if you draw a line over the free surface, right, of water, this is a horizontal line. And if you draw a line exactly near starting of the tail race, which is exactly outlet of the turbine, if you draw vertical line over here, this is called your gross head. This is basically your gross head that you are seeing it. And then finally, when you are reducing the losses, particularly major loss out of this, then it will become, this is Hg, right? And over the length of pipe, this is a pipe length. That is also we say as a penstock. So over the length of pipe, losses will be incorporated. So finally, this is the turbine inlet. So at the turbine inlet, how much the head, that is called the available head, or we can say the net head. So this much loss is coming, right? That is called head loss, right? HL. Usually we say this is HL. Finally enters into turbine. Turbine is coupled with generator where you get the electrical energy which can be sent to the domestic supply or industrial supply. So from here we can easily say that. Now we'll come to the efficiency. When we talk about the efficiency will entirely depend on this, right? How much head is available. So when you are defining the efficiency, we'll be defining what is the power output, what is the input. Input is basically your data, means this datum you are supplying, that is called input. Finally, this is the input, and output, how much mechanical energy, rotation energy you are getting with. That is called output. If you take the ratio of this, that is called efficiency. So we'll define now efficiency, types of efficiencies. Please note down all these things. These are very important, definitions. Don't make any mistake. And direct numerical problems will be there based on this concept. So usually this is the prime mover. Prime mover is basically turbine, and turbine will have blades, right? So if you look at the blade profile may be either this type or maybe either just simply vertical line, that is called uh, you know flat surface like, or maybe airfoil shape also we use. Different kind of blade profiles are there. So I'm taking the generic blade profile. So it is the curved blade profiles which are attached over the periphery of the uh, runner, that we say as a runner, and this is the shaft which will be coupled with the generator, and this is the nozzle, right, that is called inlet. So I said that always the flow will be entering through the nozzle. So what nozzle purpose is, nozzle will accelerate the flow slightly, higher than the inlet by which your flow is entering. So this high velocity jet of fluid will strike over the surface of the blade. Because of that, momentum transfer, your prime mover will rotate. The moment it starts rotating, you will get the mechanical energy out of it. So this is common in all the turbine, right? Only blade profile will change. Instead of this, maybe flat kind of blades, or maybe airfoil shaped blades will be there, but all basic structure will be same. One nozzle is needed, and finally, when you have utilized all the kinetic energy, it's not all, some of the portion of the kinetic energy, then you have to stop the prime mover. For that purpose, another nozzle will be attached somewhere here, which will basically give resistance to it in opposite direction. It will rotate. It will stop the prime mover. So depending on the consideration of input and output, the efficiency can be classified into three categories. One is called hydraulic efficiency, second is called mechanical efficiency, and last one is called overall efficiency. So first efficiency that we will be defining is called hydraulic efficiency, because we are utilizing the head of water. So it is basically yes, what happened? Yes, any question? Voice is breaking. Is it now clear?
It's clear, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
It is better if you send the message in WhatsApp, because the once I am keeping this right in full scale, I may not be able to see the messages. Okay, let's start our discussion again. So as I was saying that the basic structure is same. So based on the profile, this efficiency values will be differing, right, based on the type of the turbine. So first you will define the hydraulic efficiency. So hydraulic efficiency will be defined based on the reservoir head, and how much is getting utilized based on that. So it is the ratio of the power developed by the runner of turbine to the power supplied at the inlet of the turbine. Whatever you are supplying over here and what has been produced at the shaft, the ratio of this will basically give the hydraulic turbine. So one important point you have to keep in mind, since the power supplied is hydraulic, that means it depends on the head. So loss you need to consider, right? So some losses may happen, right, due to the striking of jet or due to the flow of within the vane, and that need to be accounted for. So those losses, if you account right, then that will say the actual efficiency, hydraulic efficiency. Next one is mechanical efficiency. Mechanical efficiency, that means you are converting the kinetic energy. The moment your flow is coming out of the nozzle, it will convert entire into the high speed kinetic energy, and kinetic energy is getting converted into the mechanical energy, right? That's called rotational energy. The ratio of that will give the mechanical efficiency. Overall will be at what head is entering and you are getting the mechanical energy, ratio of that will be called overall efficiency. So if runner power, this is basically runner power, is the runner power, and WP is called water power. So the hydraulic efficiency suffix H is defined as runner power divided by the water power. So when you are calculating the water power, you will be calculating with respect to the net head available. A runner power will be talking about the kinetic energy. So head is entering and it is finally converted into the kinetic energy. Ratio of that will give the hydraulic efficiency. Next one is mechanical efficiency, that we usually express by efficiency suffix M. So it is the ratio of power available at the shaft to the power developed the turbine or runner of the turbine. So how much power is available at the shaft and how much being supplied to the turbine. So turbine, what you are supplying the kinetic energy basically, and that is getting converted into the shaft power. So there are various factors, right, which will influence over the mechanical efficiency. Those will be slips, right, and other mechanical problems that will create a loss of energy between runner and annular area between the nozzle and sphere. The amount of water reduces as the sphere is pushes forward or vice versa. So for this, one more factor will be introduced when we will derive the expression. Then you will come to know one constant will be introduced in the mechanical efficiency that will account for all these losses. Even though the losses contribution will be just 4 to 5%, but need to be accounted when we are calculating the actual mechanical efficiency. So if shaft power, if we are saying it is the ratio of shaft power divided by the runner power, because runner power will depend on the kinetic energy. So we got the runner power right directly from the water power. So the ratio of shaft power divided by the runner power is known as mechanical efficiency. Take the next one, overall efficiency. It is the ratio of shaft power divided by the water power, right? Overall efficiency talks about how much power is available at the shaft, how much you have supplied at the entry of the turbine. If you take the ratio of that, that will give the overall efficiency. So it is the ratio of power available at the shaft to the power supplied at the inlet of turbine. So it will cover all the losses, right? Losses influence in the nozzle, vanes, then losses during the conversion of kinetic energy into the shaft energy. So all those losses is to be accounted when we are calculating the overall efficiency. So this can be rearranged, right? You can rearrange these terms, right? Like shaft power divided by the runner power into runner power divided by the water power. So you can see overall efficiency is the product of basically mechanical efficiency and your hydraulic efficiency. Like that you can say. So that's why I'm writing here efficiency, or better it will be good presentation if you also give some suffix to it. Instead of writing just efficiency, you just write efficiency not. So that is called overall efficiency, right? Efficiency overall will be defined by efficiency not. This is called overall efficiency, which is product of hydraulic efficiency and mechanical efficiency. How you are doing so? This you can arrange like this: shaft power divided by runner power, right, into runner power divided by water power. So you know this one. This is called basically hydraulic efficiency, and this is known as mechanical efficiency. Just now we have defined. So product of this will give the overall efficiency. Clear? So like that, you can define the efficiencies of the turbine. Classification of hydraulic turbines. When we classify the hydraulic turbine, they can be classified on various factors. You can define based on the total head available at the inlet of turbine. You can say low head turbine, medium head turbine, or high head turbine. Depending on the rotations, you can say high speed turbine, low speed turbine, or medium speed turbine. Depending on the direction of the flow, you can see axial flow turbine, vertical flow turbine, right, or mixed flow turbines. So there are various factors, right, that you can account for classifying the turbines, right? So based on the specific speed, also you can say like low speed, right, or high speed or medium speed. So hydro turbines are generally classified as two types: impulse turbine and reaction turbine. This is the primary classification of turbines, right? So impulse turbines. So in the case of impulse turbine, they will utilize the right momentum of the water flow. So let's suppose you are sending the water through the nozzle. It will have high kinetic energy. Directly, water is striking over the blade, and your rotation of prime mover starts. Such kind of simple turbines are known as Pelton turbine or turbo turbines. So as it is utilizing only the kinetic energy of the jet produced from the nozzle, so their power capacity, right, power producing capacity will be low. Next one is called reaction turbines, in which what will happen, the expansion of the water will take place in dual cases, in nozzle also in the turbine blades. So it will have a double expansion. So when expansion is double, your power production will be doubled compared to the impulse turbine. So reaction turbines types are Francis, Kaplan, and propeller turbine. But in your case, we are studying only these three, right? Apart from there are several other turbines, they can also be classified in any one of these two. Now, based on the flow directions, you can say tangential flow turbine, radial flow turbine, axial flow turbine, or mixed flow turbine. Mixed flow turbine. So, like if we talk about Pelton wheel, where we are utilizing just impulse of the incoming water, these are basically tangential flow turbines because water is coming tangentially over the surface, then flowing over the periphery, and prime mover are rotating. Tangential flow There may be radial flow also, right, vertical type, or there may be axial flow. Directly it is entering to the eye, means that is called from shaft direction, then rotating, and our outlet is coming parallel to the shaft rotation. That is called axial flow turbine. That mixed flow means it may be entering like radially and coming like axially. It's called mixed flow turbine. Then according to the head at inlet of turbine, you can say high head turbine, which require high head. So that is called Penton wheel. So because Penton wheel is utilizing only the momentum of the flow from the nozzle. So we need maximum possible head available in the reservoir. If that is less, in that case, power output will be much, much lower. So high head turbine is basically Penton wheel. Medium head, that is called Francis turbine, and low head turbine is called Kaplan turbine. And according to the specific heat of the turbine, we can say low speed turbine, Pelton wheel, medium speed, specific speed turbine called Francis, and high specific speed turbine is called Kaplan turbine. So these are the various classifications. Last classification you can talk about the based on head and quantity of water. So high head turbine, when you are saying high head turbine, so head more than 250 meter, right? Basically, it's called high head turbine, and it will be requiring basically smaller quantity of water, right, for producing the water, because head is more. So with a smaller quantity of water itself, you will get the sufficient kinetic energy, right, which is entering into the inlet of a turbine. And such type of turbine, one example is given here, Pelton turbines. Medium head, when head is lying between 45 meter to 250 meter, it's called medium quantity, right, turbine or medium head turbines. Example is Francis turbine. And low head turbine, which where head is lower than, right, 250 meter, where larger quantity is basically needed. Larger quantity is needed. Example is Kaplan turbine. So these are the different parameters, right, by which you can classify the turbines, types of turbines to be used. Sixth one, according to the disposition of turbine shaft, this is also same classification, horizontal shaft or vertical shaft. So horizontal axis turbine or vertical axis turbine. So horizontal shaft is like Pelton wheel turbines are the type of horizontal shaft turbine, and Francis and Kaplan will be vertical shaft turbine. That means flow direction will be vertical to the shaft. So broad classification of turbines, right? You can do like this. So hydraulic turbines usually subcategorize into mainly two categories, right? So one is called impulse turbine and this called reaction turbine. If you just look at the impulse turbine, they are type of Pelton, turbo, and cross flow. These are the type of impulse turbine, right? Then if you come to the reaction turbines, they can be classified into three categories, going for propeller to Francis and Darius. In your case, you are going to study only Francis and Kaplan. Kaplan will also be here, right? So this can further be going like fixed blade, Kaplan, and tubular or valve type of turbine. This is also the part of the reaction turbine. So this is connected to this. These are the broad classification of the turbines. Okay, so I will be closing here. We will go slowly. So if you are having any doubt, you start asking.